Your poop, your shit. I work as a cleaner, and while it may not be the most glamorous job, I take pride in doing it well. I've built a good reputation over the years, reliable, detailed, and not afraid to take on tough jobs. That reputation is probably what got me transferred to a high-end car dealership recently. The previous cleaner had been getting complaints, and management wanted someone they could trust to turn things around. So they called me in to restore confidence. The dealership itself was what you'd expect. Sleek floors, polished surfaces, luxury cars gleaming under perfect lighting. The kind of place where image mattered. But tucked behind the showroom, beyond the smiling salesman and espresso machine, was a staff bathroom that quickly became the bane of my existence. From day one, I noticed a particular pattern. Every evening, just as I arrived, the same salesman would be heading out. He was always the last to leave, and after he did, the restroom looked like a disaster zone. The same stall, every single day, would be fouled beyond belief. Unflushed floaters, skid marks smeared along the bowl, spray on the seat, and puddles where there should never be puddles. And not once did it look like any effort had been made to clean up afterward. At first, I did what I was paid to do. I told myself it was just part of the job, rolled up my sleeves, pulled on my PPE, and got to work. But the problem persisted. It wasn't random. This man was treating the toilet like a personal dumping ground and walking away without a second thought, knowing someone else would deal with the mess. Eventually, I reached my limit. I sent a polite report to my supervisor, asking if they could speak to the staff about showing a little more consideration in the bathrooms. I didn't name anyone. I kept it professional, just hoping for a bit of basic courtesy. But nothing changed. In fact, it seemed to get worse, like he'd heard the request and taken it as a challenge. The messes became more elaborate, and the stench somehow more offensive. It was as if he had deliberately altered his diet to weaponize his bathroom breaks. At that point, I decided to speak directly to his manager. I started arriving earlier so I could catch him before he left, and I explained the situation. Still, no action. Frustrated but still hoping for resolution, I finally spoke to the man himself. I approached him politely and asked if he could take a moment to tidy up after himself. I didn't accuse, didn't raise my voice. I just asked for the bare minimum of decency. That was a mistake. From that day on, it escalated. The very next evening, the stall looked like a crime scene. He had clearly made a deliberate effort to be even more disgusting than before, and in that moment, I snapped. It was time for my own form of revenge. Nothing violent, nothing dangerous, but something undeniably petty. I cleaned the stall using my standard tools, including a sturdy toilet scrubber assigned to that specific restroom. Once I was done scrubbing the worst of it, I took the brush, still damp from battle, and sealed it in a large Ziploc bag. I walked it over to the sales floor, found his desk, and placed it gently inside one of his drawers. Alongside it, I left a handwritten note that made it clear exactly whose mess that brush had just cleaned. Then, for good measure, I left another note on his manager's desk explaining my actions and the reason behind them. I didn't try to hide it. I was done being silent. Unsurprisingly, I was called in for a disciplinary meeting. I received a short suspension under the label of personal leave. I knew I'd crossed a line, but I also knew it had to be done. I went home without regret, ready for whatever came next. When I returned a few days later, I was met with unexpected news. The salesman had been terminated. Apparently, there had been prior complaints, and this incident finally tipped the scale. Management offered me a quiet apology and handed me a $100 Visa gift card as a token of appreciation for my patience and professionalism throughout the ordeal. I feel a little bad. This dude could have taken 30 seconds after his business to keep his job, but the petty part of me is dancing a conga line right now.